back in the House. It's been a very important 2 weeks on our side. I've been traveling the country and announcing more than 1,000 jobs, maybe in PEI, maybe in Trois-Rivières, maybe also in the north, or again in Sault Ste. Marie. So our goal is really to help the auto workers, the steel workers, the aluminum workers that are affected by the tariffs, and so that's why we're putting in place the plan that we've developed to counter the impacts of American tariffs against our workers. Je vais le dire en français maintenant, mais je vais aussi respirer. OK, merci. Merci, c'est gentil. Donc, je viens de passer 2 semaines sur la route, 2 semaines où essentiellement on a annoncé plus de 1000 emplois. Des emplois pour protéger les travailleurs dans des secteurs qui sont affectés par les tarifs, que ce soit à Sault Ste. Marie en Ontario, que ce soit à Trois-Rivières au Québec, que ce soit à l'île du Prince-Édouard ou encore dans le Grand Nord. Nous avons fait des investissements pour justement soutenir des entreprises qui sont dans les secteurs tarifés, donc dans le secteur de l'automobile, dans le secteur de l'acier, dans le secteur de l'aluminium et dans le secteur du bois d'œuvre. Notre plan est en place et on est en train, bien entendu, de le mettre en œuvre. Ça me fait plaisir de répondre à vos questions, incluant, si vous avez des questions, sur le Canadien de Montréal.
82 millions pour la Coupe du Monde par match. Est-ce que vous pensez que le Canada va rentrer dans ce montant?
C'est vraiment un investissement qui est important pour le secteur touristique. C'est un investissement aussi qui est important dans un contexte de relation avec le Mexique, relation avec les États-Unis. Mais du reste, quant à la portée de ces investissements-là, je suis convaincue que mon collègue au sport va pouvoir répondre à cette question.
Les élus libéraux sont insatisfaits des positions du gouvernement en environnement sur le pipeline, par exemple. Il y a eu une dizaine de signataires là-dedans. Vous leur dites quoi, là, en tant que membre du cabinet, pour les rassurer?
Je pense qu'on a fait beaucoup au niveau environnemental, que ce soit pour la protection de la nature, parce qu'on est arrivé avec un plan sur la conservation de la nature le plus important, dans le fond, pour respecter le 30 % d'ici 2030. On a aussi des nouveaux investissements pour soutenir les véhicules électriques dans le contexte de notre stratégie automobile. Et également, on fait beaucoup pour développer les énergies renouvelables. Il nous faut des projets d'énergie renouvelable et il nous faut du capital pour les développer. Et donc, je travaille beaucoup avec le ministre des Ressources naturelles là-dessus. Et donc, on peut avoir le meilleur plan possible, mais fondamentalement, si on n'a pas aussi toutes les provinces qui le suivent, à ce moment-là, ce plan-là ne peut pas fonctionner. Et c'est pour ça que nous, on fait en sorte d'avoir une entente avec l'Alberta qui est importante parce qu'on sait que cette province-là, qui est productrice d'énergie, est celle qui est pivot dans toute notre vision environnementale.
Est-ce que vous répondez aux autorités américaines qui vous demandent de vous brancher sur les F-35 le plus rapidement possible parce qu'ils sont en train de perdre patience?
Écoutez, lorsque vient la question des F-35, on a eu beaucoup de discussions avec Lockheed Martin. On veut plus de bénéfices industriels. Les conversations qu'on a sont de plus en plus productives. Bonne nouvelle. Mais en même temps, on étudie aussi le Gripen parce qu'on pense que le Gripen est un projet qui a beaucoup de retombées industrielles. Vous savez, au cours des prochains jours, c'est CANSEC. CANSEC est la grande foire sur la défense. Il y a plus de 20 000 exposants de partout à travers le monde qui sont ici pour parler comment on peut développer notre industrie de la défense au Canada. Et donc, j'aurai l'occasion d'avoir des conversations avec SAB encore et aussi avec Lockheed Martin.
Minister, Steven Guilbeault is considering resigning from the party over the climate policies. What do you have to say? Are you worried about losing more MPs because of the MOU with Alberta?
So I'm a good friend of Steven. I've worked a lot to bring him in politics, and he will always be a good friend. I also think that I'm part of much more the environmentalist part of the Liberal Party and cabinet, but I also think that what we've done with the MOU makes sense. Because I also think that we need to be able to have one of the most important provinces that is the main energy producer in Canada part of our plan. And therefore, you can have the best plan possible. You need to make it work. You need to be pragmatic. We're also dealing with an energy crisis right now, which is affecting the gas of price across the country. Although, basically, things are happening thousands of kilometers from where we are. And so in these circumstances, we need to be able to protect our energy sovereignty and be able to support our allies. So we can do both. We can work on energy security, we can work on protecting the environment, and that's what we'll do in a very pragmatic way.
You supported Justin Trudeau's environmental policies when you were in cabinet. You defended those policies. They've all been watered down now. What changed?
I think that first, a lot of things have changed in the world. Definitely the energy crisis that is undergoing since the war in Iran. But I also think that we've seen the good impacts of that policy, but we've seen also the downfalls. And we need to be able to do both. We need to make sure that we bring Albertans on board. We need to bring also all Canadians on board. And I'll make sure that we're able to do both. Thank you.
Considérez-vous, Madame Joly, que la loi sur la clarté s'applique?
What do you think of that? And are you planning or have you still considered substituting
Well, the Senate Act, I'm not the boss of the Senate. The Senate has constitutional responsibilities. They're exercising them.
Monsieur MacKinnon, la loi sur la clarté, croyez-vous qu'elle devrait s'appliquer à la question albertaine? Et y a-t-il une considération par rapport au Québec à prendre dans le calcul de si oui ou non on l'applique ici?
Ça, je vais m'en mettre au responsable, à M. Leblanc, vraiment le premier ministre.
What needs to get done before you guys rise for the summer? Like, what's the priority list?
Oh, we have a lot to get accomplished yet. We have a very ambitious legislative agenda, as you're aware, and we will be continuously talking with the opposition about our objectives.
Drugs in airports. What is your response to organized crime has infiltrated Canada's biggest airport to that extent and on your government's watch?
Yes, well, we have tens of thousands of people who work in our airports, of course. Anyone who is given a credential has been judged not a threat to aviation safety. I have asked my officials to determine if there are ways where we can continuously improve those assessments. We do reject or remove credentials regularly, including for many of the individuals who are identified in that report. And obviously, safety, security is something we take incredibly seriously at Transport Canada. Along with law enforcement, with CATSA, with CBSA, with the RCMP, we'll continue working so Canadians can be very reassured that that airport environment is safe.
Sur les passagers aériens, êtes-vous ouvert à scinder C-31 comme le demande le Bloc, de sorte à retirer ce volet-là et qu'il soit... Non, pourquoi?
Non, parce que nous avons identifié qu'il faut agir. Je pense que les Canadiens qui ont formulé des plaintes, qui attendent un règlement de leur corps, ont attendu assez longtemps.
Les organisations de défense des passagers disent c'est pas ça qu'il faut faire. Vous leur répondez quoi?
Je pense qu'on a fait une série de propositions très mesurées. J'ai pris la peine d'énumérer les mesures que nous entendons prendre à l'avenir. D'abord pour régler l'arriérage, mais ensuite à l'avenir pour un peu miroiter ce qui se fait dans d'autres pays, là où ça marche allègrement. Et donc, je pense qu'on a trouvé la bonne solution pour que soit réglé et pour que soit clos ce dossier.
Monsieur MacKinnon, juste une petite question. 82 millions par match là, pour la Coupe du Monde. Est-ce que vous pensez que ça a du sens? Est-ce que le Canada a la bonne décision?
Je pense que les Canadiens sont très fiers d'être le pays hôte de la Coupe du Monde. Il y a des enjeux on vient de parler de la sécurité. La sécurité et rassurer les gens, ça coûte très cher. Mais je pense que les gens, somme toute, sont très excités d'accueillir le monde dans le cadre de la Coupe du Monde FIFA.
Are you proposing a majority over environmental policies and some resignations?
No.
Ask you about some of the things that need to get done before Parliament rises for the summer. Is there any chance that C-16 is one of those things that gets through? I know There's the Senate's dealing with 2 other criminal justice bills right now, but are you still confident? Are you hopeful?
Look, I certainly would hope that there's a chance, and forget the importance from hitting some arbitrary legislative benchmark. The real reason that I'm hoping we can accelerate the adoption of C-16 is to offer protection to people over the course of the next number of months. When the House and Senate breaks for the summer, obviously that delays the ability of legislation to advance. If there is any opportunity, and the Senate has been excellent, by the way, to sit outside of their usual hours, have extended studies on other bills for which I appeared recently. But if there is a chance to offer additional protections, it could literally potentially save lives, particularly when you're looking at some of the charges linked to femicide. Though it'll be a little further down the road, there is a 2-year delay in the coming into force for coercive control to allow systems readiness. But we can start that work now instead of a few months from now. We are seeing an urgent need to act when it comes to AI deepfakes. We literally have judges from the bench stating that this is clearly morally reprehensible behavior that needs to come to an end, but points out the fact that they are not the authors of the criminal code. We have an opportunity to offer protections to people who are at risk, and I hope we take every opportunity to ensure that we move forward as quickly as possible.
Right now is like, guys, you can't leave before this gets passed because of those factors that you just mentioned to me?
Look, they've been excellent partners in a lot of ways. They've moved forward expeditiously on C-14. They've worked on C-9. They are studying rigorously C-16. I do want them to get it right, but if there is an opportunity to accelerate the adoption, of course, we want to see it. I do want to say thank you to the senators who have taken their time to sit outside of usual hours in order to advance certain protections in other bills. If there is any opportunity, I would love to see these protections.
On C-22, sir, you're the party of the charter. Of course. Now we have a law and order bill that the police likes, legal access. How do we reconcile? How can we make sense of that?
Excuse me. Sorry. From my perspective, it's not about some philosophical ideology that we need to protect. It's really about solving a very particular problem. We have seen crime in recent years increasingly move very quickly, become digital and cross borders. Canada is one of the only developed economies in the world, including all of our Five Eyes partners, who does not have a piece of legislation permitting lawful access in the manner that C-22 does. We have an opportunity to ensure that particularly when criminal organizations who are leading extortion rings have an opportunity to, without regard for the law enforcement, to be able to tap into who's involved. We need to solve this problem.
Tracking cell phones, though, to people on the crime scenes, for instance. Like, so it's broad. So regular Canadians have concerns.
So there's, I completely understand, and I want to respect the concerns that people have raised. But from my perspective, the first part of the bill is really about what information the government is interested in seeking. Again, in most cases through, with the permission of a court, by the way, but in a more expeditious way, to understand that first, if there is an IP address that we know about through a tip, for example, from an international law enforcement agency, can we actually go to the service provider and say, is this on your network? If they say yes, then we would go to a court to see if we can get that link to a person. We're not trying to talk about getting everyone's personal information or tracking everyone's whereabouts all the time. We're trying to make sure that we have information that can help foster criminal investigation that is important in a timely way.
Judge is sufficient to safeguard the rights of people regarding like gathering data from your location, for instance, for your phone.
Well,
like just a single judge.
Well, look, I wouldn't diminish the role of a single judge. A single judge who has a lifetime of training and experience learning how to apply the law in a way that respects Canadians' charter rights. We trust single judges with the most serious decisions in Canadian law routinely in this country. I don't see a need to depart from respecting the independence of the court to render judgments as they ordinarily do.
In your view, on the Clarity Act, should it apply to the referendum in Alberta? Because it's not a referendum on whether to separate or not, but a referendum on whether to hold the referendum in the province or not. So should the Clarity Act apply in your view?
So right now we're in the middle of conducting our legal analysis, but you've correctly pointed out the Clarity Act has a very clear requirement, no pun intended, that the question be about and be understood by the voting public, that their jurisdiction would be removed from Canada. There's obviously, as the Prime Minister pointed out, an element to this particular question that appears to be a question on a question. We haven't completed our formal legal advice, which of course I owe a duty to the Prime Minister to deliver to him first.
So it's not clear yet. It's not defined yet.
We'll formalize that legal opinion over the next few days, but out of respect for the client, who in this instance is the Prime Minister of Canada, I'd like to share that with him first. I do have to run in, Judy. I'm sorry.
Obviously.
So just with respect to the separatism question, we ran on a platform of unity, and that's what we've been focused on since we were elected last year. And just with respect to the Conservatives, I really respect the fact that Mr. Poilievre has said that he would stand up for Canada. I've only heard a couple of his MPs in the last couple of days actually make statements saying that they're going to do the same thing. So I'd really like to call on my Conservative colleagues and MPs from Alberta and have their voices heard as well.
Do you think the Clarity Act applies to the question as posed by Nicholas?
I think what I think about it isn't so important. Like, for me to give an off-the-cuff response to that, I think isn't very helpful. That's a really important question, and we will be discussing that with all seriousness in the days to come, and we'll absolutely be back to you on that.
What about the political consideration that goes into that process of deciding whether or not it applies?
There will be a number of legal considerations, and like I said, just don't think it's for me to comment on that this morning, but as soon as we have a response for that, absolutely we'll be back to you. I really appreciate your questions. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
The National Firefighting Administration?
I'm sorry?
So with wildfire season, we've talked about this before, but is the government still considering a national firefighting service or anything along those lines framework-wise?
So at the present time, so we did a public engagement last year, and just a number of aspects are under consideration and remain under consideration at this point in time. I know you would have heard our announcement yesterday. I'm so excited about the fact that we have aerial firefighting machinery available in terms of helicopters and water bombers as well. So the same as what I said with respect to the separatism question, you can expect to hear a lot more from me in the days to come with respect to strengthening emergency management from a federal perspective. Absolutely. I appreciate the question.
I missed the announcement.
Thank you. Oh, well.
May I ask, if Steven Guilbeault leaves the Liberal caucus, what other voices for about issues are there besides that?
Look, I think that we have a caucus that cares deeply about the environment, fighting climate change, and also about how we're going to build our country in this moment. How do we build it well? So I think you have a very strong group of people who form our caucus, and I'll keep working with them.
How are you dealing with the Liberal dissent among the current environment policies under Carney?
Oh, you know what? I'll go back to this. We have a range of opinions. We always have within our caucus, and that's actually what makes us stronger, because people bring all their different ideas. So that's actually how we work together. So I would focus on the fact that we have a lot of different opinions, always, on a range of different issues. People bring them to our caucus to talk about it, and that's how we develop strong policies.
Have you actually seen this letter that has...
Are we still committed to offing coal by 2030?
Any money, any work being done with the Halifax Stadium? Are you talking to Andy Fillmore about extending those sewer lines?
So there's a group who's making some suggestions that they have some interest. I've not received a funding request. Very specifically, they said, hey, we're not interested in this.
Yeah.
I've had a quick conversation with some folks with the provincial government. I'm going to have an opportunity to connect with the mayor's office soon, just to discuss their process. But at this stage, there's not a federal ask for anything. But of course, anytime you have a potentially serious investor looking at projects, we're happy to make relationships.
I remember in Cape Breton and northern Nova Scotia, northern mainland Nova Scotia in the late 80s and early 90s, there were a lot of plans. A lot of people would appear, try to get things, and then things would fall apart. Do we see these people as legitimate?
Well, look, the group that I've met with has some experience in this. One of the things that I think separates the present example from those that you've suggested is nobody's coming asking for money from the federal government in their conversations with us, with me. They've been very explicit. Hey, we're just interested in navigating the regulatory landscape, largely, by the way, from a municipal and to some lesser extent provincial point of view. But if anybody's interested in doing business in Nova Scotia, we're obviously going to take the phone call. But at this stage, it's in the preliminary phase of planning site selection. Whether they actually go ahead or not will depend upon access to permits that would be granted at a different level of government.
And the whole Shannon Park business on the other side of the Cape Ridge, that's done. That's housing. That's never going to be.
Well, look, it's going to be to the extent there's a private sector-led opportunity to build anything anywhere in Nova Scotia. That's going to be a decision for the proponent, not for the federal government. Obviously, there are plans in place for Shannon Park. The group that I've met with was not contemplating that. There are others who've suggested, who've had similar meetings, that potentially there'd be a location closer to the city that would be more appropriate. But I'm going to leave that to the proponent to determine whether they can find a site that they think makes a good business case for the investment opportunity.
Okay. Mr.
Yeah.
Can I get one question on me?
Yeah, sure.
Court challenges on the preventive mental illness and the track 2. Is the government considering just referring it straight to the Supreme Court?
Right now, when it comes to the current conversation around mental illness and track 2, we're waiting to see the results of the committee process, which we expect to be complete before long. Once we have the benefit of the advice of the committee, we're going to be in a better position to determine the next path forward. To date, we've not been preparing for a reference directly to the Supreme Court. We wanted to have the full benefit of the joint committee study. Were you yelling at me to come? Oh, sorry about that. I hate to run away from you guys.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Question from a colleague.
Yeah, no, all good, all good. Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, and sorry to run away from you. All good.
Guilbeault, Minister, is Mr. Guilbeault going to leave? Are you concerned about him leaving? Are you concerned about him resigning?
I worked with Steven as his parliamentary secretary for 6 years. He's a very valued member of our team. I'm not going to be able to speculate on any rumors right now. No.
Mr. Drews, are there any provinces where the industrial carbon tax is working right now? Like the producer said that the system's not really working. That's why he's proposed these changes. So are there provinces where it is working though?
Well, I think that we have the federal system that works across our country, and I think that what you saw in Alberta is another enhancement to the industrial carbon price. And we actually have a consultation paper that went out at the beginning of this year to see how we can improve it from there too.
What do you say?
Gregor, do you support a pipeline to the West Coast? Minister, do you support a pipeline to the West Coast?
There is no proposal.
But would you support a pipeline to the West Coast?